worked with companies like Uber, Cirque du Soleil, Instacart, Google, Amazon. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jennifer, but of course you can call me Jen, and I want to welcome you to the Jennuine Life. And here I do a little bit of everything: lifestyle, vlogging, as well as some career, resume, and interview videos around helping you prepare for such things and just feeling the most confident you can in this job market. And so today I want to bring to you a video and hopefully help you prepare for an upcoming hypothetical or behavioral interview, or just help you hone in on your interview skills and really build some confidence so that you're walking into these interviews with your shoulders back, head up, and fully prepared to share every single accomplishment that you've ever done so we can help you get this job, okay? So a couple of things. I want to share with you my background so that you understand exactly how I'm going to be approaching my tips today. And so I have been recruiting. This is my 12th year. I've worked with staffing agencies helping candidates be placed in contract roles, anywhere from call center, administrative roles, warehouse, as well as leadership opportunities, and eventually made my way into tech. And so I've worked with companies like Uber, Cirque du Soleil, Instacart, Google, Amazon, and a bunch of other places as well. So I have definitely had my fair share of interviews. I have conducted my fair share of interviews, and definitely have plenty of experience being a part of hypothetical and behavioral interviews. And what a lot of candidates don't realize is that these questions are designed to really understand how you think and how you problem solve. Typically, these questions do not have a right or wrong answer. Now, of course, your approach can be wrong, but your answers typically won't be. And just for clarification, for example, if I ask you what 2 plus 2 is, we all know that the answer is going to be 4. 2 plus 2 will always be 4. But if I ask you, how would you approach baking a cake? I promise you, if you ask 3 different people that same question, you're going to get 3 very, very different answers. And while all of their answers may not be wrong, how they approach baking the cake can be, depending on the company that they're hiring for. The first thing I want you to do before I even get into these tips is I want you to pull the job description of the job that you are interested in, apply to, or preparing to interview for. The reason why I'm asking you to do this is because I want you to really read through that job description. And what a lot of candidates tend to forget about is that recruiter who posted that job on the website spent time with the hiring manager to understand exactly what they were looking for in a candidate, what characteristics, what skill sets they needed in order for someone to be successful in the role that they're posting. If one of the bullet points in the job description is, we're looking for someone who has experience baking for parties of 500 or more, you want to hone in on that. You want to start to pull exactly what they're looking for in those job descriptions, and then start to think about situations that you have personally been in, accomplishments that you've had in your previous roles, and relate them to the bullet points that you see in the job description. And this is going to help you start to prepare what stories you want to share when responding to those behavioral and hypothetical questions. You really want to pull, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 of those bullet points of what they're looking for in the job description, and start to think about 2 to 3 situations if you have them. Sometimes you may only have one, and that's okay too. But start to think about what situations you have that can coincide and relate to the bullet points in the job description. Okay? Once you have that done, I personally am a pen and paper girl. I'm going to show you some examples today of how I've actually prepared for interviews as well. But I write everything down. Now, if you're someone who likes to type it out, grab your notebook, grab your iPad, grab your laptop. Okay? And that's where I want you to track everything that you've done. The reason why I'm telling you to write it down is because if you've been working for 1 year, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years. It is very, very difficult to remember every single accomplishment, every single task, every situation that you've been in a 45-minute interview. You are so overwhelmed with just trying to make sure that you're responding to the questions that sometimes some of the best examples that you could provide, you forget about. And so writing them down and kind of preparing them for your interview is key. And you guys, I've been interviewing for years now. I still do it to this day. So now that our pre-work is done, let's jump right into the tips. The first tip that I want to give you is to ask clarifying questions. It is vital that you do not rush answering these questions. And by these questions, I'm talking about the hypothetical and behavioral interview questions. Typically, your hypothetical questions will sound something like, what would you do if? A hypothetical question could be, what would you do if a client places an order for 500 guests? We require a 1 week notice, but they're only giving you 3. Tell me what you would do. A behavioral question could be, how would you approach baking a 4-tier cake? So hypothetical questions typically have not occurred, and these are situations that could potentially occur on the job that you're applying to. So you most likely won't have an exact example for this type of question. The behavioral questions are designed to understand how you have solved problems in the past in roles that you have been in before. Both of these questions are designed to be vague. So most of the time, you're never going to have enough information. If you've ever taken a behavioral or a hypothetical interview before, it probably leaves you more confused than when you began. It's designed that way. It is not you. So my first piece of advice to you is to ask clarifying questions, okay? You need to ask questions. And a lot of times, and this is exactly where I see candidates mess up, is they jump right into the solution. So if the question is, how would you bake a 4-tier cake? Well, I will gather all of my dry and wet ingredients. I'll begin to mix them. Once I have my batter, I'll pour it into a greased pan. I'll preheat my oven for 350. Once it's ready, I'll pop my cake in the oven. I'll let it bake for 20 minutes, take it out, let it cool. I'll frost it and then serve. Or, well, I understand that this is a 4-tier cake, but is this for a birthday? Will this cake be for a wedding? Does the client have any specific needs? Any allergies that I need to be aware of? Since this is a birthday, is it a themed birthday? Or was this more of like a garden party? I just want to make sure it's decorated the way that they want it. This allows me to get to the right solution faster. Now I can say, well, I know that Susie is really good at decorating pink cakes. I'm really good at mixing the batter. I know that John is really good at delivering cakes so that they don't get damaged. On the first day after speaking with the client and receiving the order, I'm going to call a meeting with my staff. I'm going to make sure that Lucy or Susie is available to decorate the cake. I'm going to bake it today, make sure it's cooled. I'm going to make sure that Lucy can be available on the next day so that once the cake is cooled, I can use her to make sure that she is decorating the cake and I can still be taking orders so that the business can still be running. And then I'll make sure that John is available on day 3 to deliver the cake. And all of this will be laid out on day 1. I would have delegated all of the tasks to everyone. Everybody will be prepared and we'll be able to deliver that cake to the client on Wednesday. Completely different response. Completely different. And then I have not only demonstrated that I don't jump into solutions, I take a step back, I evaluate the entire situation, I delegate tasks. I am not only leading this project, but I'm also participating in it because I'm also baking, but I'm also managing my other 2 colleagues as well. So I've demonstrated customer service because I'm delivering, over delivering for a customer. I've demonstrated leadership because not only have I been able to delegate the tasks, but I'm managing 2 other colleagues throughout this process as well. And then I've also been able to demonstrate my ability to manage a project in that time. And then I'm also demonstrating my ability to actually get the task done as well. 4 different things have been pulled out of that response versus just walking my interviewer exactly through how to bake a 4-tier cake. My second piece of advice to you is to use the STAR method when responding to any kind of question really in an interview, but specifically hypothetical and behavioral interview questions. And you may have heard me just mention it a little bit in my last response, but STAR stands for situation, T stands for tasks, A stands for action, and R stands for result. And so, with any situation that you are highlighting when responding to a behavioral or hypothetical interview question, you want to make sure you highlight what the situation was. So, if the question is, tell me about a time you had to bake a cake for 500 guests, well, the situation was I had a client come in. We typically require 1 week's notice for such large parties, but this was such a top tier customer and it's a place an order where we would only have 3 days to complete it. That's the situation. What's the task? Well, I was tasked with making sure that we had enough staff on duty to make sure that each item that required the cake to be baked would be completed in that time. I also wanted to make sure that I had all of the ingredients, so I quickly placed an order for eggs, heavy cream, and frosting. The action that I took was I laid out a 3-day plan and assigned all of the tasks to everyone. And while managing the projects that everyone was working on, I immediately started baking the cake so that it had enough time to cool. The result of this was we were able to get everything completed within the 3-day deadline that we were given. And not only that, the client was so happy when we delivered the cake with no damage that they not only placed an order for the next party, but they also sent us 5 referrals. So what just happened? I was able to state the situation. I was able to clearly define what tasks I was given in order for me to resolve the situation. I laid out exactly what I did in order to get to my end result, and then I shared the result of what I did. This is so important because a lot of times when we get through interviews, we start to go off on a tangent. We start telling fluffy things. We start inputting information that's not supporting our situation or our accomplishment that we're trying to share with our interviewer. Using the STAR method helps you stay organized in your thoughts and very concise in your responses so that your interviewer can get exactly what they need and enough data to support whatever characteristic they're looking for. And usually it's going to be a characteristic or a bullet point from that job description. The other thing I wanted to share with you, and this is part of tip 2 into tip 3, so we're just going to call this a bonus tip. I'm going to insert some clips here, and I want you to take a look at some of the notes that I have taken in preparing for an interview. You're going to see where I list different scenarios. So the scenarios are things that I have done on the job, situations that I want to really make sure I highlight that supported the bullet points in the job description. So in this particular case, they were looking for someone who had excellent account management and customer service skills, managing relationships with leadership. And so I wanted to make sure I listed any time that I had a story or situation that supported those bullet points in the job description. I don't know if I said this or not. I keep these notes with me during the interview. They're right off to the side. And I tell my interviewer, I have just a few notes just so I don't forget anything. Just to let them know, if you see me look down, it's just because I have notes that'll help jog my memory. Totally okay to have notes during your interview. I don't know where we came up with this thought. This is an open book test, okay? And this leads me to tip number 3. I want you to start to talk to yourself in the mirror. I want you to talk to yourself. And I know you're probably like, girl, what? A lot of times when we're preparing for interviews, we keep our dialogue in our head. But I promise you, if you get in front of a mirror and talk to yourself, respond to an interview question. Just Google hypothetical behavioral interview question for a software engineering interview, for a teacher interview, for a customer service interview, for a recruiting interview, and pull 1 or 2 questions. I'm not saying these are the questions you'll get on your interview, but just pull it in practice. If you just get in front of a mirror and listen to how you sound, I promise you'll change a few things. What this also does for you, going back to what I mentioned earlier, it's very difficult to remember everything you've done over the course of months and years. So don't underestimate that. Really practice, and all of this information becomes so embedded that when you're on an interview, at that point you're just flowing. Just to recap, you want to make sure you pull the job description, pull 3 or 4 bullet points from that job description, and figure out 1 to 3 different situations that you have done personally that relate to the job description bullet points. Now that you have your bullet points, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you remember to ask clarifying questions. Okay, so make sure you ask enough questions so that you have enough information to begin approaching a solution to the problem that you've been given throughout your interview. The second tip is to use the STAR method. So remember, STAR: situation, task, action, result. You want to make sure that every time you answer a hypothetical or behavioral interview question, you are using this method. Okay? Talking to you. And then finally, practice. Somebody needs to listen to you talk and be able to offer you some advice. And if you do not have someone that you can practice with, get in front of a mirror and talk to yourself as if you were responding to an interviewer. I really hope you found this helpful. Interviews should not feel intimidating. Yes, you are interviewing. Trust me, I've been there. I have interviewed to the point where I absolutely needed the job because I didn't know what I was going to do if I didn't get it. And I'm telling you, it's all mental. It is strategic responses. It is understanding who your audience is, who the business is. And once you understand all of these factors, it helps you tailor your responses that way. But it is all strategic. Okay? But either way, I truly hope this video helped you. I'll definitely be bringing more career related videos to this channel, so be on the lookout for that as well. And feel free to let me know if there's something specific that you need help with. List it in the comments below. I'll be reading through those comments and really trying to tailor videos, especially around career related content, to what you're looking for. I'm happy to help. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. Enjoy the rest of your days. I'll say enjoy the rest of your day like we on the phone. But you get my drift. Whenever you're watching this video, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks for tuning in and supporting. And I look forward to seeing you in the very next video.